was the criticism more of a reflection of us and how we feel and really the state of society at the moment? Hey, what's up? I'm Adam. If you're new and if you're returning, then you know what's good. Today, I want to get a little bit into the Kim Kardashian controversy as it pertains to work ethic, the whole get your up and work. Not so much because I really care about Kim Kardashian and what she has to say. I don't really know enough about her and what she does in terms of her work ethics, her businesses, like that. But it's more interesting as a social event, because the number of people who responded and the vim with which the responses came, I think is really telling about where we are, our relationship with work, our relationship with wealth, with celebrity, and all these kind of things. And so I thought I'd kind of share some of those ideas here. It is going to be more podcast style, so apologies for the intrusive microphone setup today. But I thought I'd just hash out some of the things that kind of came to mind, or that I found interesting when I was kind of navigating these responses and kind of just looking at what was going on. So I'm going to start by actually reading off Kim Kardashian's statement just to contextualize it in case you hadn't heard what she said. But yes, I'm going to read it. I have the best advice for women in business. Get your up and work. It seems like nobody wants to work these days. You have to surround yourself with people that want to work. Have a good work ethic where everyone loves what they do, because you only get one life. No toxic work environments. And show up and do the work. Now, the reason why I'm not going to spend too much time on the statement itself, bar like one part of it, is because there's not really much that can be argued with that. The feelings that I was getting from the responses, the videos, the comments were largely against the individual, because really you can't argue with a good work environment or getting up and doing the work, because that is what is required. Remember, she was answering or referring to women in business or people in business in general. So you can't really unpack and argue with most of that, because anything you want in life does require those things. It does require work, right? So the first thing that really came to mind when I was navigating these responses was the idea of work and the value we place on individuals and the type of work they do, and who we then decide gets to speak about work, right? Especially this concept of hard work. That's what I saw coming up a lot. This idea that Kim Kardashian, Molly May, insert whatever celebrity is talking about this, shouldn't speak about ideas of hard work because of where they started or where they are now. Like this idea that, who are you to speak? I saw that a lot, like you came from this or you came from that, or look what you do for work. I think there isn't sometimes an idea about the value we place on work. And I spoke about this in one of my videos where I spoke about how I went from how I basically changed my economic standing, right? Like my circumstance. And one of the first thing I said was the understanding of working hard versus creating value. And there's this idea that because Kim Kardashian potentially, or these celebrities aren't working in what we see as work or how we define work or working hard, this means they aren't working. But at the end of the day, the market decides value, right? The market decides who gets paid what and so forth. And whilst you and I or whoever may not engage or watch these celebrities or engage and buy their products, somebody is. That's why there is so much value there. That's why she's being paid millions and millions for what she does. The market has spoken, right? And by no means does work have to look one way. I think that's what another thing that I found really interesting was that because it didn't look like the grind of my day to day, that means that she can't be working, or he can't be working, or whoever is speaking can't be working. Like if our realities don't match, then you don't get to speak on this thing. I think that was a really interesting thing that I picked up. Again, not everybody. Some people were critiquing her. Anyway, I won't go into that. You'll see some people's critiques. That's all it was. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. And I think, though, there's something to learn from that, because if then you understand that value is more important than just working hard, like I said in my other video, then you can do something with that, versus just getting upset because your 1 hour is not being paid the same as her 1 hour. The next really interesting thing I noted in this response to Kim Kardashian's statement was this idea of nuance, privilege, and advantages. Now, I'll just say this off the rip. Of course, there was no nuance in this statement, but it also wasn't a 10,000 word dissertation. It was a clip, or, a few seconds, minutes of a celebrity talking about what they believed was the key to business as they promoted their celebrity or their reality TV show. Which begs the question, at what point does it fall on us to exercise critical thinking and place these things in context, right? Because and a lot of the arguments were as such that, well, she didn't speak about her leg up, like being born into wealth or her connections and so forth. This is true, but also we know this about her. So then at what point does it fall on us to then just place this information in context and then make decisions about the value of her statement, and does it warrant taking on without the attacks on an individual becoming ad hominem? Because again, most people, from what I saw, weren't actually arguing that what she said was incorrect. It became about the person. And yeah, like I said, at what point then do you take it upon yourself to think about what's being said and whether you even want to take it on, whether you even care what this celebrity has to say about business, or where you want to take your advice from? And another interesting thing was this idea of an advantage, right? These advantages or privileges, I'm not really a big fan of that phrase, but whatever, I'll use it in this sense, that she has. The reality of the world is that all of us have an advantage over somebody else, and some may be exacerbated or seem more pronounced, even if for some reason our desire was to try to iron out all these differences, right? Like biology won't let you anyway, because the differences that are innate to us are always going to exist, whether it be what I look like, whether it be my IQ or my intelligence, whether it be my memory, whether it be somebody's ability to run fast, whether it be someone's height, which means that they're really fantastic at a particular sport. I'm sorry, but those are always going to exist. So then it becomes about how we navigate those advantages. And there's a really interesting book that I haven't yet finished called The Unfair Advantage. And it speaks about this idea that we all have advantages, and you can really decide that you're going to double down and think about what other people have that you don't, or you can try to identify your own. So, and that doesn't mean to say that things aren't going to be harder for you necessarily. They may be a lot harder than they are for somebody whose advantages were wealth versus your advantage, which may be intelligence, but you actually were born into poverty or born into some like working class family. All that is to say, are we going to be moving into a world where we expect everybody to list all of their privileges, all of their advantages, anything that could have placed them above anyone else anytime they speak? Honest question, like is that what we're trying to aim towards or hope to get to? So the final thing I found quite interesting as I was exploring and navigating this space was the criticism more of a reflection of us and how we feel and really the state of society at the moment? And the reason why you kind of have to draw this conclusion is because the vim, the anger, the upset driven towards Kim Kardashian doesn't make sense. Most of us do not know this woman. We have not met her. We have not spoken to her. We haven't even been in the same room as her. So to be this angry at an individual that is so far removed from you doesn't make sense. But what it does is indicate that there are feelings amongst us and emotions amongst us and potentially valid things and emotions amongst us that are really just being not targeted, that's quite an emotive word, but are being directed towards this individual. And to be honest, she's an easy target. She's there, she's successful, she's a public figure, and she talks a lot. And we can argue about whether she says the right things or whether things are for, like I said, publicity or whatever. But yeah, she's a target. So if people are feeling angry, then there is somebody that you can direct it towards. But if we think more carefully, are we angry at Kim Kardashian or are we angry at the price of gas and electricity? Are we angry at Kim Kardashian or the fact that we was promised a dream that if we went to university, took out this debt, spent this money, that we would have careers that we loved and, you know, feel fulfilled every day? And what we got instead was a lot of unemployment post-graduation and debt, pretty much, like saddled to debt and so forth. And that's obviously different in different countries, I know that, but still the premise remains the same. Like, are we mad at Kim Kardashian or some of the quality of jobs on offer? Are we mad at Kim Kardashian, or are we mad at the fact that if you get to certain tax brackets, the government's going to take 40% of your money? Because I actually think that those sorts of feelings and questions are more worth our time than screaming at Kim Kardashian. And a lot of people will focus on those things. And I know that people are talking about it, so that's not to take away from them. But ultimately, Kim Kardashian, Molly May, all these people exist and have a right to say what they want on their platforms, within reason, within the platforms confines or whatever. But they do have a right to exist and speak freely. And you and me also have a right to respond to that. But I just question the value in exerting so much energy, or even conjuring up like bad thoughts and vibes, bad vibes. Yeah, she's gonna keep doing what she's doing. We can do what we're doing. But those were just some of my thoughts. They weren't the most. Like I said, this also was not a 10,000 word dissertation, although I'd like to think I provided a little bit more nuance or thoughts that maybe other people hadn't thought about or didn't really want to think about. I don't know. But yeah, that was that from me. Hope you found that kind of interesting. I think the world of work, employment, our relationship and attitudes towards it is really interesting, because it's something that all of us have to do in some context, or most of us have to do in some context, is think about how we're going to make money and juggle the balance between, quality of life and eating and so forth. But yes, I'll see you in the next video. Do leave some comments. Let me know what you think. Wow. Anywho, I'll speak to you guys soon. I'm going to stop now. Stop talking. It's too much.